Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bradajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bradajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahamsa, Parudikacharya, Astoto, the Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Shri the A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON, BPT Founder Acharya, Shri the Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Mr. Pad Paramahamsa, Parudikacharya, Astoto, the Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Shri the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Kwantaraj srimadbhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Zachary? It's curtains. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jai Mudiriyet. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Okay, we need to turn this down just a little bit. Yeah, you do it. You do it. Okay, Zachary can do it. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Little lower. Tiny bit. Okay. On this 23rd day of January 2019 in SanDiego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in the fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 9, Dhruva Maharaj returns home, text number 11. And our friend Jamal has not written the verse again. So since most of these devices are mine and I don't have time to set them up, unfortunately we won't get to chant this very important verse unless you're ready to do it. How about you, Damodar? You have a device? It's 4, 9, 11. And since we're almost there, let's see what I can do with this. Next time, bring your device. Oh, I'm going to forget. Unless I do it now. Hopefully we can reuse that bag. All right, I got another device for you, Santosh Prabhu. Let's see where this comes up to. I think it's probably almost ready. Here it is. Prabhu. Okay. So this is 4:9:11. Bhagavatam. Bhakti muhu prabhatam tvahime prasango. Bhuyadananta mahatam malashayanam. Yenam jasobhanamaru vyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavadgunakatham ratapanamattaha. Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvahime prasango. Bhuyadananta mahatam malashayanam. Yenam jasobhanamuru vyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavadgunakatham ratapanamattaha. Bhakti muhu pavahatam tvahime prasango. Bhuyadananta mahatam malashayanam. Yenam jasobhanamuru vyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavadgunakatham ratapanamattaha. Balaram. Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvahime prasango. Bhuyadananda mahatam malashayanam. Yenam jasobhanamaru vyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavadgunakatham ratapanamattaha. Santosh? Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvahime prasango. Bhuyadananta mahatam malashayanam. Yenam jasobhanamaru vyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavadgunakatham ratapanamattaha. Damodar. Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvahime prasango. Bhuyadananda mahatam malashayanam. Nenam jasobhanamuru vyasanam bhavabdhim. She bhavadgunakatham ratapanamattaha. Go ahead. Bhakti moho pavahatam tvahime prasango. Bhuyadananda mahatam malashayanam. Yenam jasobhanamuru vyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavanggunakatam tapana mattaha. Okay, everybody's got a device in a book. I'm going to read together, read silently along with me. Bhaktim, devotional service, mahu, constantly, prabhahatam, of those who perform, tvahi, unto you, may, my, prasangaha, intimate association, bhuyat, may it become, ananta, O unlimited one, mahatam, of the great devotees, amala ashayanam, whose hearts are freed from material contamination, yena, by which, anjasa, easily, ulbanam, terrible, uru, great, vyasanam, full of dangers, Bhava Abdim, the ocean of material existence, Neshe, I shall cross, Bhavat, your, Guna, transcendental qualities, Kata, pastimes, Amrita, nectar, eternal, Pana, by drinking, Mattaha, mad. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj continued, so he's praying to Vishnu who's appeared before him, O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I may associate with great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly, as the waves of a river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the nescient ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of blazing fire-like dangers. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes, which are eternally existent. Purport. The significant point in Dhruva Maharaj's statement is that he wanted the association of pure devotees. Transcendental devotional service cannot be complete and cannot be relishable without the association of devotees. We have therefore established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Anyone who's trying to be aloof from this Krishna Consciousness society and yet engage in Krishna Consciousness is living in a great hallucination, for this is not possible. From this statement by Dhruva Maharaj, it is clear that unless one is associated with devotees, his devotional service does not mature. It does not become distinct from material activities. The Lord says, Satam prasangan mamavirya sambido bhavanti ritkana rasayana kata. Bhagavatam 3:25-25. Only in the association of pure devotees can the words of Lord Krishna be fully potent and relishable to the heart and ear. Dhruva Maharaj explicitly wanted the association of devotees. That association in devotional activities is just like the waves of an incessantly flowing river. In our Krishna Consciousness Society, we have full engagement 24 hours a day. Every moment of our time is always busily engaged in the service of the Lord. This is called the incessant flow of devotional service. A Mayavadi philosopher may question us. You may be very happy in the association of devotees, but what is your plan for crossing the ocean of material existence? Dhruva Maharaj's answer is that it is not very difficult. He clearly says that this ocean can be crossed very easily if one simply becomes mad to hear the glories of the Lord. Bhagavad Gunakata, let's read the actual phrase which we're going to put in eventually. Bhagavad Gunakatami tapana matta. The matta is the mad part. For anyone who persistently engages in hearing the topics of the Lord from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and who is actually addicted to this process, just as one becomes addicted to intoxicants, it is very easy to cross the nescience of material existence. The ocean of material nescience is compared to a blazing fire. But to a devotee, this blazing fire is insignificant because he is completely absorbed in devotional service. Although the material world is a blazing fire, to a devotee it appears full of pleasure. Vishram Purna Sukhayati. The purport of this statement by Dhruva Maharaj is that devotional service in the association of devotees is the cause of the development of further devotional service. By devotional service only is one elevated to the transcendental planet Goloka Vrindavan. And there also there is only devotional service. For the activities of devotional service both in this world and in the spiritual world are one and the same. Devotional service does not change. The example of a mango can be given here. If one gets an unripe mango, it is still a mango, and when it is ripe it remains the same mango, but it has become more tasteful and relishable. Similarly, there is devotional service performed according to the direction of the spiritual master and the injunctions and regulative principles of Shastra, and there is devotional service in the spiritual world, rendered directly in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they are both the same. There is no change. The difference is that one stage is unripe and the other is ripe and more relishable. It is possible to mature in devotional service only in the association of devotees. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, the last two verses, Prahlad Maharaj expressed what he's not praying for, and condemned persons who worship you simply for the sense gratification of this bag of skin, kunapa. You know that famous verse, Yasatma buddhi kunape tridatuke. One who identifies himself with this dead bag. Sometimes kunapa will mean a corpse, or it means a bag. So he says, simply for gratification of this bag of skin, such persons are certainly influenced by your illusory energy. In spite of having you who are like a desire tree and the cause of liberation from birth and death, foolish persons such as me, and that phrase was added by Prabhupada. It's not in the verse itself, but it's undoubtedly in the commentaries. He's condemning himself because Dhruva was praying at first. His whole mission was to get the kingdom, greater than his father's. So, in spite of having you, they're like a desire, who are like a desire tree and the cause of liberation from birth and death. Foolish persons like me desire benedictions from you for sense gratification, which is available even for those who live in hellish conditions. And then he also condemns those who are searching for Brahmananda or liberation. My Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, where one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of the temporary bliss of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by the sword of time? Although one may be elevated to heavenly planets, he falls down. So he's negated two of the main impetuses or motivations for people to practice chanting mantras and disciplines and yoga and sacrifices and all these things. And that one is grossly material, even though it may be more refined than what we see outside the door here. But going to the heavenly planets, getting good birth, and even the yogic cities fall into that category. And then there's liberation. Then there's moksha, which is also ultimately a personal motivation, sense gratification. So he's condemned both of those, one of which includes his own original motivation. And now he's praying for what he really wants, which is association with these devotees who are pravahatam, in whose heart the bhakti is flowing just like a river, a powerful river. And notice he used the word prasanga. This word is the theme. Prasangam madadam bhasham atmanak kavayovadu. This is the first word of the Sadhu Sangashtaka of Kapila Dev, text 325.20, in which he says this powerful association and attachment. It's very interesting that the word sangha means association and also attachment, because what you associate with, you get attached to. So prasanga, the prefix pra always increases and intensifies whatever it's appended to. Or prepended, I guess, anyway. So, again, prasanga. So he wants that association as described, and Prabhupada cites this verse in the purport. Satam prasango mama virya sambido bhavantiridkana rasaya nakata. That within the teachings of Kapila Dev, he very quickly comes to the point of describing the easiest and most effective type of yoga, which is bhakti yoga, in the association of devotees, especially pure devotees whose vibrations are just like an ocean of nectar and purify the heart and mind. So that's what the verse by Kapila Dev means, is that in this association of devotees, one will hear about me, my glories, mama virya sambido, and that such vibrations are Rasayana Kata. This word Rasayana sometimes seems like a life-giving elixir or pure nectar. And just sitting, so where's the austerity? If you actually taste it as pure nectar, then your austerities are over. The point is that your austerity is coming there, becoming purified enough so that you taste it as nectar, which it really is. We're studying in the morning on Mondays. Syat Krishna Nama Charitari Satapi Vidya Pittopataptarasarasanarochikanu. That the chanting of the holy name, the vibration of the holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna are as sweet as sugar candy, but the ear and the tongue, covered by the disease of ignorance, which is likened to jaundice or hepatitis, taste these sweet things as bitter. But that's the remedy. If you perform the austerity, the Vaidhi Bhakti, of doing, coming, chanting, and not hearing other vibrations which dilute your consciousness, pollute your consciousness, then you can regain the original taste that we lost eons ago for Krishna Katha and service to Krishna. And then your whole mission is simply to serve Krishna, and when it's possible, come with devotees and chant and hear and relish. And that's life. So now he describes these Mahatmas as Amalashayanam. Their hearts are pure of material desires, and the vibrations that you taste, it's just like an intoxicating drug. He says, Bhavat guna katamita panamata, because I have become mad to drink this katamita, nectarian beverage, which consists of description of your gunas, your qualities and pastimes. And in that intoxication, I'll be cured, or I'll very easily cross over this dangerous ocean of birth and death. So what do I have to worry about liberation for? Liberation is already there. And as far as material things go, they're completely distasteful. As bitter as I used to taste your holy name, now I'm tasting that as bitter. And so this is a wonderful verse, and Prabhupada makes this kind of essential point here, that Krishna, that bhakti is nourished by association, as opposed to Ashtanga yoga, where the first thing is go alone, go to that cave or that forest or that lone room somewhere, and meditate alone and work on your mind and fight in your mind. That's not bhakti. So in that association, therefore Prabhupada creates the international society for Krishna consciousness. Anyone wants to be aloof is living a great hallucination. So they wrote this back in 1974 or 73, and it was certainly true then, and it's still true. Otherwise, the activities don't become distinct from material activities. Then Prabhupada quotes that passage I just mentioned, Satam Prasangan. Only in the association of devotees can the words of Krishna be fully potent and relishable. So this is called, and Prabhupada says, okay, in our Krishna society, 24 hours a day we're serving Krishna, and therefore it's just like a flow of a river. Then what's your program for crossing over the, getting liberation? It says, bhagawatsaptaha, that ocean shrinks down to the water in the calf's hoofprint for those who are relishing. It's already achieved. Or as Bilvamangal says, mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevadesman. That mukti herself personified is at the door with their folded hands waiting to serve me. It comes in the train of bhakti. You don't need a separate effort for that. Okay. All right, I wanted to share with you a couple of the verses, just a few of the many in the Bhagavatam, that exalt and describe this benefit of hearing and chanting in association with devotees. The first verse describing it is the third verse in the Bhagavatam. Nigambakalpatadorgalitam palam shukamakadamita dravasamyutam pibata bhagavatam samalayam mohoraho rasika bhuvibhavaka. This is an enjoinder. This is a pleading with to the hearers. In this case, of course, the hearers at Naimisharanya, or any hearers, that this Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic teachings, and it contains the essence of the absolute truth. And it contains all kinds of nectarian vibrations describing Krishna as avatars and his devotees in the devotional service. Galitam balam, just like a ripened fruit. Prabhupada uses the wonderful analogy of the mango, that the mango remains a mango, but it becomes more relishable when it becomes ripe. So similarly, your heart, when it becomes mature in devotional service, will become able to relish this great sweetness of devotional service. So the Gamakalpatador Galitam Balam Shuka Mukad has become even more relishable by being vibrated by Shuka, just like a parrot will peck. And that there's a certain enzyme in there, and there's a little thing that goes on. I heard someone describe how it works. And it gets even sweeter. So Prabhupada Bhagavatam, this is an imperative. So drink it. He's telling us to drink it. Prabhupada Bhagavatam, Rasam Alayam, this rasa, up to and beyond liberation. It doesn't. We're not studying Bhagavatam or chanting Hare Krishna in order to get liberation. It says on the platform of liberation, it just becomes more relishable. Alayams Prabhupada Bhagavatam Muhuraho, again and again. Don't stop. Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavaka. Become a Rasika, means someone who can taste and become the great souls on the earth. So that's the first one. In Queen Kunti's prayers, this is a verse that I memorized 100 years ago. Shinbanti gayanti gwananti bhikshnasa spadanti nandanti tabehitam jana taheva pashyant achidena tavakam bhava pravaho padamam padambujam. It's the same idea of this flow, the flow of Krishna Katha. So she's saying there that those who hear, who sing, who relish, who accept descriptions of you, my dear Lord, she's speaking directly to Krishna. Shinbandi Gandhi Gwanant Abhikshnasa means constantly. Abhikshnasa Smaranti, thus remembering you. Nandanti, take great pleasure in hearing, chanting, and remembering. What? Shinbandi Gayan Duganami Smaranti Nan Tavehitam Jana. Tava ihitam means your activities, descriptions of your activities, your lila. What happens? Tahiva pashyant achirena tavakam bhava pravaho padamam padambujam. Who can say what the word padambujam means? Pada, ambujam. Pada? Yes, and ambujam? Born of the water? What's born of the water? Lotus. There's a million words. There's like 24 actually words for lotus in Sanskrit, I think. One of them is ambujam, another is pankajam, born from the mud. Anyway. So one who is always hearing and chanting and relishing and remembering the descriptions of you, what happens? Quickly, achedena means not a long time. They quickly see your lotus feet, which is bhava pravaho padamam padamajam, bhava pravaho padamam, which brings to a stop the powerful flow of birth and death. This word pravaha was in this, right? Pravahatam. So there's a flow of Krishna Katha. There's also a flow of time and birth and death that we're in. This is the river of Vaitarani. But that river is stopped by their vision or their revelation of your lotus feet, which comes from purifying the heart through hearing and chanting. So that's an important verse about that. Then there's this the verse by Kapila Dev, but there's another one there in that Sadhunga Sangashtaka. What do the great sadhus do, the pure devotees? How do they pass their time? First, the qualities, Titikshava Kaurunika Suradak Sarvadehinam, they're very tolerant, they're compassionate, they have no enemies, follow the Shastra, and Mayananyena Bhavin and Bhaktim, they perform undeviating service unto me, giving up any activity that's an impediment, even giving up the relation with the friends and relatives if they're impediments. Then what do? Marashriya Katamrishta Shinvanti Katayanticha. Manashraya means in this case vibrations that have taken shelter of me, in other words, that relate to me. He's Kapila Dev speaking. Kata Mrishta. This word Mrishta is again sweet, relishable, very that kata, and they hear it and they chant it. Shinvanti Katayanti. Shinvanti Kanti. And because they do that, Marashya Katamish Shinvanti Kantanija. The miseries of this world don't affect them so much because their minds are absorbed in me. This was an answer to his mother's question. Or she was approaching, my senses are giving me so much trouble. She was approaching as a sadhaka. So that's what says in that verse, but a few verses later, he describes Satam Basangam, this Rasayana. It's a very life-giving elixir. Then there's one of the most famous prayers of Lord Brahma. Gyane piyasam udapasyana mandaheva jivanti sanmukaditam bhavadiyavartam. So it says, give up all of your attempts to understand the absolute truth through mental speculation and your own endeavor. Just stay where you are. Stane stitak. Don't do anything radical, but add the hearing of your glories, he's speaking directly to Krishna, emanating from the mouth of the pure devotees. Jnana payasam udapasya namanta eva. Offer your respects by hearing and then. Jivanti, live in this way. San mukaditam. San or sat is short for sadhu, devotee, pure devotee. Mukaditam bhavadiyavartam. Your news of you. In other words, vibrations related to you. Stanisya shuddhikatam. Follow this path of hearing. And the proof tanuvan manobir. With your body, you sit and hear and carry out the orders with your senses. With your words, you repeat them. And with your mind, you contemplate them and think about them. That's what it means to hear shushu with in sincere, ardent hearing. And in this way, what's the result? Who knows the last line of this verse? Can anyone remember? Ye prayasho ajita jita. Conquer who? Yes. In this way, in this whole universe, this is the only way to conquer the unconquerable Lord. How? Obviously, by developing love. He's only conquered by love. So this is Brahma's realization. Brahma, who is the most intelligent and who tried challenging Krishna. This is in Brahma Mohan Lila. So there's many other verses like that, but there's one especially I wanted to share with you, which I don't have memorized. But the prayers of the personified Vedas have several verses that deal with this subject of hearing. And this is a nice. I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs here from the purport. So these prayers themselves are Krishna Katha, wonderful Krishna Katha that you can relish. If you understand the meaning, it's total absorption. Durlabha gatatma tattva nigamaya tavata tanos chadita mahamratabdi padivarta parishramana napadi lasanti kecha dapavargam apishwadate chadana sadoja hangsakula sangha basrishta graha. My Lord, some fortunate souls have gotten relief from the fatigue of material life by diving into the vast nectar ocean of your pastimes, which you enact when you manifest your personal forms to propagate the unfathomable science of the self. These rare souls, indifferent even to liberation, just like Dhruva is now, renounce the happiness of home and family because of their association with devotees who are like flocks of swans enjoying at the lotus of your feet. A lot in here, very rich. So I'll just read a little of this here. This is Gopi Puranadam Prabhu, but he's quoting heavily from the commentators. The pastimes of Krishna and his various expansions and incarnations are an unfathomable ocean of enjoyment. When a person comes to the point of complete exhaustion in his materialistic pursuits, whether he has been searching after material success or some impersonal notion of spiritual annihilation, he can gain relief by submerging himself in this nectar. As Rupa Goswami explains in Bhakti-samrita Sindhu, one who tastes even a single drop of this vast ocean will forever lose all desire for anything else. Okay. Then Vishnu Chakravarti has a slightly different interpretation. He says that although the devotees of the Lord become fatigued after repeatedly diving into the endless waves and undercurrents in the ocean of the Lord's pleasure pastimes, these devotees never desire any happiness other than the Lord's service, even the happiness of liberation. Rather, their very fatigue becomes pleasure for them, just as the fatigue produced by sex indulgence is pleasurable to those addicted to sex. The Lord's pure devotees become enthused by hearing the charming narrations of his pastimes and feel impelled to dance, sing, shout out loud, kick their heels together. You never heard that before. Kick their heels together, faint, sob, and run about like madmen. Thus they become too absorbed in ecstasy to notice any bodily discomfort. This is also like Kapila Dev's. So this is one of the main lessons here of Dhruva Maharaj's pastime, is the transformation of desire. The whole process of bhakti really can be boiled down to that. Transformation and purification of desire. As living beings, as jiva souls, we have activity and we have desire eternally. It may be, within the body and the intelligence of some worm and stool, but there's still some desire to go to this side of the stool, that side of the stool, and whatever. But it's very covered. There's not much awareness there, but it's still there. As human beings, of course, it's much more refined. But if it stays within the realm of material modes of nature, it's completely meaningless. It doesn't make any difference. You go here, you go there, you build this philosophy, you build this skyscraper, this civilization, and is wiped away, is destroyed and atomized by time, and merges into Mahavishnu. What does it mean? Even in our short lifetimes, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, or 70 years old like me, you just think back, to those things that were so important when you were 10, 20, 30, 40. They don't mean a dang thing if they're all in the material sphere. Earth-shattering problems, and world-shattering philosophies, it's all just a play of the material energy. We have to be really convinced of that. What really matters is our own focus and our hopefully progressive realization of the truths of devotional service, of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the conclusion to all the Vedic writings, the Upanishads, Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana, everything culminates in Bhagavatam. And these pastimes, they're very instructive. Dhruva, who could not relate to Dhruva? We may have also been really, really, into getting some material goal, right? And that becomes your whole life. And then you idolize, or you exalt other people who have already achieved the goal. It may be some sports thing, it may be some money thing, it may be some writing thing, whatever it is. All kinds of fields of endeavor. And you have your heroes, you have your people you model your life after. But if they're not devotees, it's just the blind leading the blind. You're going over a cliff. So here we have so many wonderful examples, beginning with Srila Prabhupada himself and all of our acharyas, and those great souls who appear in the pages of Bhagavatam, such as Dhruva Maharaj, who was fortunate to get good association, who could guide his determination and his motivation in the right direction, so that he would come out at the other end as a pure devotee. And that's exactly what all the acharyas do. If you just listen a little while, you'll understand, it doesn't really make sense if I'm striving, even without understanding the soul or anything, just to strive hard for material things that then you get old and die and you have to leave them. What's the point? It doesn't make any sense. It's just a play of Maya, a play of illusion. So with that awareness, then to hear and repeat and understand and contemplate and live by the philosophy in the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc., we can all experience the truth of devotional service. But we should always remember that it's a razor's edge. That if we again allow Maya to take over our mind and bewilder our mind, then we'll think that Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga, is just a waste of time, and I have more important things to do. Or, as Prabhupada says here, I can become much more Krishna conscious outside of the association of these devotees. And that will be the death knell of our devotional service. So we shouldn't do that. We should persevere and relish the Srimad Bhagavatam, as the Bhagavatam itself says at the beginning. And here, this verse and purport are one of my favorites. So it's worth memorizing. If you want to memorize it, I'll help you. Bhakti mohupa bhatam trahime pasango. Okay, any comments or questions? Balaram. I think everyone should have a little pad and take notes.
Krishna. I was wondering about, I think in Bhagavad Gita somewhere it says, because Prabhupada has the quote here, right? Anyone who's trying to be aloof from ISKCON.
Yeah.
So then there's this quote from Bhagavad Gita, I think it says something, I don't know where it is, it says something like transcendental realization something like this, can be tested in solitude. You know, how.
In a purport somewhere.
Yeah, maybe a purport or a verse, and you know, sometimes I don't know. I've heard devotees quote that, and they say, you know, devotees who are spending time away, like from devotees say, oh well, you know, I had this problem with this daughter, that problem with this daughter. So I'm entering now kind of solitude, and you know, Prabhupada says, you know, that you know, it could be tested, your advancement in solitude. So
yeah, I don't remember that quote exactly, but there is a place for that. I mean, the japa generally, you know, Prabhupada had us chant together. Basically, I think, we wouldn't go off to his room and sleep. But when you look over time, you know, the history, Lord Chaitanya would chant alone. Sanatana Goswami, I heard, dug a 20-foot deep little bhajan kutir, big hole, so he could just, you know, even the sounds of Vrindavan, he wanted to just have complete silence, so he could chant. So there's certainly a place for individual contemplation, and Srila Prabhupada spent plenty of time alone, writing and, you know, meditating on his mission. So there is that, but you see that the most intense experiences described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is all, you know, of course Lord Chaitanya would go alone, but he would spend hours and hours and hours with Swarup Damodar and others, very intimate devotees. So I think that it's almost like a model after, you know, Sambandha and Vipralamba. You know, in other words, Sambhoga and Vipralamba, meeting and separation. But there's no question that as, you know, in neophyte stages, we draw strength from each other, primarily. There's a lot of peer pressure and help that we get from other devotees. I know if I lived in even another part of the city, and I couldn't come to the morning program, I would be in great difficulty. You know, just meeting together, chanting together, worshiping the deities together is such an important part to speak of class. So we should, you know, relish. The point is, we shouldn't think that we can, you know, take shelter away from devotees. We have to take shelter with the devotees, and sometimes, you know, be alone with Krishna and the holy name. Certainly, at a certain point of the day. I think that's.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask about. You said the play of Maya.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just like kind of like an English question. So when it says play, it just means like.
It means the phantasmagoria. You know,
sometimes people say, "Oh, you know, they have this idea that someone's trying to play me. You know, they're trying to cheat me."
Well, that's another way of thinking about it, but that's what Maya does.
And then I was thinking that sometimes we're trying to play Maya. You know, we're trying to, you know, play the material energy, kind of win up, exploit the material energy.
Yeah. Well, that's a great illusion.
But we're being played.
We're being played. We're being bewildered. That's part of Maya's illusion. The thing that she casts over us is that the spell that it's okay, that, you know, that it's all right. You can have both, but you really can't have both. You can't have both Krishna and Maya because they're direct opposites. You know, one is Atmandriya Pratibhansha, desire to please one's own senses. The other is desire to please Krishna's senses. Obviously, one negates the other. So this is why we need something called Vaidhi Bhakti, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, that you strengthen your intelligence so that you know what you should do, even though your mind and senses are telling you to do something else. So when the intelligence is strong enough, it can control the lower self, and you actually do what you're supposed to do. And by doing that, like sitting and chanting Hare Krishna seriously, and you know, you lose the desire to do the other thing. That's the magic. That's the whole key. I heard Prabhupada talking on this verse this morning. Is that by force one can refrain from engaging in sense gratification. But that will not last. That's not good enough, because the desire still remains and eventually will come out even stronger in another way. But param drishta navartate, by perceiving directly the absolute, one doesn't return. So the experience of Krishna consciousness, primarily in the early stages and throughout, ultimately, the holy name purifies the heart so that the very desire is gone. So we should never, but if you allow the desire to come in again, then there's even a statement in the CC how the chanting itself can nourish a certain desire that you're not giving up. That very Ladani Shakti that you're trying to generate toward Krishna and give him pleasure is then concentrated on one area that you're not giving up. You gave up so many things, drugs, and gave that up, meat, forget it, But there's something that you're trying to hold on to, and it becomes more difficult to give it up. It's a whole psychology. That's why the injunction is, and that's why retreats are important, or pilgrimages, or places that you kind of break your routine, and you're just it's all from morning to night. You're with others, and you're contemplating on the holy name. I remember several japa retreats, going to the Dham. And it's a different routine, and you're breaking up your habitual compromise with Maya. You can actually kick something. This addiction analogy is perfect on both sides, because everybody's addicted. Not just the poor drug addicts or the alcoholics, but all of us, everyone in the material world, are addicted. And Krishna consciousness is rehab. It's a big rehab. Because we're trying to come back to normal. We should remember that. Originally, we're in the spiritual world. And we're trying to regain our normal, blissful, eternal, full of knowledge life. And Zach finally came up with a question. Get the mic.
I just want to say one thing. You said about addicts, there's this devotee, Ritetra Swami.
I know him very well.
Oh, okay. And he was giving class one time, and he said, "My name is Ritetra Swami, and I'm an addict of the material world."
Just a very quick thing that I was listening to a class by Dravida Prabhu in Chekanapur, and he was saying, quoting Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which was interesting, what you were just saying, that the end goal is the spiritual world. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was addressing that sometimes there's a tendency to focus on just anartha nivritti and not artha pravritti, the actual goal. Yeah. And Bhakti Siddhanta said in this recorded lecture, he said that if, I don't know the exact wording, but the gist of it was that, the exact point was that if we just focus on anartha nivritti and we don't understand the goal, we don't understand the artha pravritti, the higher, let's say, like goals of devotional service, then we run the risk of becoming impersonalists.
Right.
It's quite interesting. When I thought about that, it kind of makes sense, because if we're just focusing on what not, what to remove,
yeah,
or we're not focusing on the actual end goal, like you're saying, going back to the spiritual world, then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was saying we run the risk of becoming impersonalists.
Yes, that's true. That's why I remember I may have jumped ahead a little when back in the 70s when when the Gopi Baba Club, yeah. Well, that was a classic example. But Dravida Prabhu, came out with all of these translations, and it was controversial. He was always worried that he was going to get busted by Ramaswar, and that also helped me, because that means he wanted a backup, so he would Xerox things and send them to me. I'm sitting in New York, and he's in L.A. And I was there just a few months, and then this big package arrives for me. You know how you use printers so much. I hardly ever use a printer, but there's something called a ream of paper, 500 pages, and in these boxes there were 10 reams. So it's a pretty heavy box. So one of these boxes arrives, and I recognize him. What is all this from Dravida? I open it up. It's the entire Govinda Lilamrita that he Xeroxed. He had typed out the whole thing, like this, with synonyms. It's like 2,000 verses or more. And then he sent it to me, so it would be backed up. So, even if he got busted and I still have that printout. But okay, Govinda Lilamrita, we know, Bhakti Siddhanta kept asking to print it, and said, okay, print, one copy for yourself. So there's some intimate things in there, but there's just so many verses, and there's a fair number quoted right in the CC. So that's where you find this verse. Venu vrindamanamanamayantam venu geetamamatam visajantam venu ruchatachalalakabandam kenu vikshasamayo namadhantam. So the aesthetics also attract you to Krishna. Just like a kirtan, you can just beat a little drum and sing. But if you have nice mridangas and you have instruments everyone's playing, it's that more attractive. So this verse, Venu vrindam. So this is just a kind of meditation on Krishna coming back from the forest. You know, and there's a whole ashtaka about this that Rupa Goswami wrote. I mean, you have to realize that, you know, the gopis and Mother Yashoda, and I mean, they're all separated from Krishna, so they're thinking about him all day, they're singing about him all day as they do their tasks, you know. And finally, when the evening comes and the sun is starting to go down, they become more and more excited, you know, and they're looking out. There's a little arrangement on a roof where they can run up there and look out far into the forest, and then they finally see the little dust, you know, cloud coming. It means all the cows are coming back. And they're chanting this thing, and they're chanting Hare Krishna, they're looking, and finally they hear little faint notes of the flute, you know, so it's very ecstatic. So this is describing Krishna walking. Denu vrindam anamandam. Denu vrindam, the herds of cows. Anumandam, very leisurely walking behind, ayantam. And while he's doing so, what's he doing? Playing the flute. Venu geetam amatam, the nectarian song of the flute is emanating. Visvajantam, he's creating, he's playing. And all that dust, Renu Rushita Chalalakabantam, is dusting his beautiful curly locks of hair, which is swaying to and fro as he walks gracefully. Renu Rushita Chalalakabantam. Ke nu vikshasumayor namadantam, who seeing this sight would not attain the ultimate bliss. You know? You can see it in your mind's eye also, if you try and you describe and you say. So anyway, the literature is filled with verses like that. Bhagavatam most prominently. All we have to do is take shelter of them and stop wallowing in thoughts of this world. Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare